The number one problem that Michael Jordan has had so far in his young career has been pad level and pass protection. It hasn't been his hands, it hasn't really been his feet. It's been staying low to absorb power in pass protection, playing a position where typically the low man wins. Being 6'6" is a tough ask, even if you are athletic and you are as big and have the length that he has. Playing with good leverage and pad level has always been Jordan's biggest weakness. In this rep, we see him show great strides there. Against Sheldon Richardson at the 3 technique spot, Richardson's going to try to swim back to the inside A gap here, and I love how Jordan kind of sinks his hips there as he's engaging him. He's mirroring him with his feet. He's staying balanced with a couple of hop steps, dropping that anchor down. Richardson doesn't really put up that much of a fight here, and the ball gets up pretty quickly, but the process is important to look at here when you're focusing on Jordan. And I love the pad level here. I love the ability to play with leverage against a very competent pass rusher from Richardson. This is a very quality rep for Michael Jordan. We didn't see a lot of true one-on-one reps with him in pass protection this game, but this is one of them, and this is one of, if not his best one that we saw. Take note that this is the very next play. We're going to go back to Jordan, but we're also going to look at Bobby Hart, who's going up against none other than Myles Garrett in a one-on-one situation. Ball's out right here. Pretty good pocket for Joe Burrow. You can draw the outline of essentially a cereal bowl when you have your tackles entering either a 45-degree set or a vertical set against a 4-man rush. This is the space that you want for your quarterback to step into a throw. Gets pass interference there too, so the ball is going to be at the goal line. But let's look at Jordan again, going up against Sheldon Richardson once more. Richardson comes back from that swim move the previous play, just a long arm right into the inside of his inside shoulder pad. And it gets Jordan off balance a little bit. Great reset, great re-anchor by Jordan. And as you can see from that frame before, where his head is going back, it's being jerked back like he's gotten hit in the chest. Drops the hips, drops the pads, pad level, leverage, reestablished. Great job by him to reestablish his positioning in his pass set, neutralize Richardson before he can do anything. Now we have Bobby Hart. What has his problem always been? Well, he tries to overcompensate for his lack of speed as a pass protector, and he ends up leaving the inside open for power moves and power counters. And we can kind of see Garrett setting up to the outside and then charging back inside a little bit, but it's not exactly the most effective bull rush I've ever seen, but a good job by Hart of getting out into space, creating space in his 45-degree set, but closing off the inside lane for him. Good pad level, good angles with his hips and his knees and his ankles to anchor down and pass protection. Use that core strength that he has to absorb the power that Garrett is bestowing upon him, extending with his punches underneath Garrett's frame here, as Garrett's hands are way too high, unable to do anything. And then he creates space again as Garrett tries to go back in there. So there's nothing he can do either. Early on in the season, the Bengals were terrible at running screens. Didn't matter what type of screen it was. Slip screens, play action screens, tight end screens. Most of them were bad. They've gotten better as the season has gone on. And this is just a fun play to watch for Michael Jordan, who sells the run action in the play action with his blocking, disengages. The important thing here is that he doesn't engage too early. He doesn't sell out too early when going after number 28 for the Browns. Because if he does, then he gives him, the defender, an opportunity to get inside or outside and make a play on Bernard. He waits until the very last moment to engage so he can get leverage inside of him to push him outside and allow Gio to have a cutback lane of his own. It's been so bad watching the entire offensive line get out into space and get on blockers in the second level because the lack of patience or just bad angles, bad timing, they've all been issues. It's never been the athleticism that's been the hindrance in their screen game. It's always been everything else that goes into it that makes good screens good screens. This is a great job by Jordan of staying patient, staying square to the target also. It allows him to get a nice point of contact when he needs to, create space for Gio to accelerate upfield for 25 yards. Some of you may be aware who Brandon Thorne is. He is a prominent presence on football Twitter, does a lot of offensive line breakdowns. I don't think he's the one who coined this term, but I have seen him use it a lot, It's when offensive linemen, quote unquote, cutting grass with their feet. You don't want guys in pass protection getting their feet too high off the ground in their kick slides, because it leads to bad balance issues. It leads to issues when taking on and absorbing power. It just leads to issues. With Bobby Hart, it's always been a minor issue when he goes into his pass sets. His feet are all over the place. He's rushing to get to his spots because he's scared of getting beat around the edge. This rep, though, much better. The calmer the feet, the more effective the feet. You can see his feet are barely getting above the ground. They're cutting the grass. They're not stuck to the grass. They're not stuck in mud, but they're not high stepping over tall weeds or anything. Just trimming the grass. And he gets out into space in his little set here. Now, what has been the other thing has always been, like we talked about, opening up the inside. And that's almost what he does here, because Olivier Vernon is setting up an outside rush and then swimming back inside. But a good job by Hart of resetting and mirroring Vernon here, getting off of that inside foot to cut off any lane that he has on the inside. Now the ball gets out pretty quickly, and it's not like Vernon's going to do anything on this play, but a very good and calm rep set from Hart here, and a good job of him minimizing any damage he can do by going on some type of inside counter. You know, in the past, normally you would see Hart off the snap and get all the way out here. And then a guy like Garrett, who's intellectually capable of configuring moves on the spot, would try to sell the outside and go back inside with some type of a chop or a spin or something of that nature. And then Hart would get completely turned around, and then the pocket would be compromised. This time, this is exactly where you want him to be entering the set with where the pocket is. His butt is faced right at Burrow when he engages in Garrett. And not only does he engage with Garrett, but he stifles him at the top of his second kick slide. Look at the feet. Calmly hop steps back, and look how they drive and dig into the ground here. That is leverage. That is utilizing quality leverage here. And then you can see his hands. You can see where his hands are. You can see where they're placed. You see the outside hand, that right hand, right there. Scoops it right back inside. Gets low hands, lower than Garrett's. He controls him completely here. Like, Garrett is not just pushing the pocket for the sake of pushing the pocket here. I think he was genuinely trying to bull rush and then maybe try to pull together a counter move here. This is one of the very best reps I have ever seen from Bobby Hart, and he deserves all the credit in the world for it.